Hi everybody, this is Eddie. I'm just going to do a quick market update for next week. So we have a fairly interesting week. So we were developing a base at the bottom of this downtrend here, and it actually broken out. The moving averages got stacked together, and then we broken out. We did have a reversal day on Friday, but we still holding so far on the breakout range. So what you want to see is staying above this level right here, this yellow line. This is where all the moving averages are stacked. It needs to stay above this and then continue higher onto the upper part of this channel. This is the area right here that's a major resistance, right? If we can break above this area, and then go above here, we can consider this as a trend reversal, right? Because this is a lower high. If we can make a higher high above this range and then make a higher low, that's a trend change. So that's what we're looking for in the next few weeks. We're still in the third quarter and in their slower season. So usually around summertime, it's pretty choppy. So it's either going to go sideways or we could actually have another leg down. So if we do have another leg down, I am expecting we stopped somewhere around the pre-COVID highs right here. So if we do come down, there could be a retest of this low and bounce, or we can actually come all the way down to around this 3400 area and then bounce after that. But what I'm hoping to see next week is a consolidation or a slow grind onto this area top right here, and then see what happens if we can have enough strength to break above, or we going to hit here and then reverse back down, chop around for a little bit before the breakout, right? We're still considered to be in the bear market and still in the correction. So if we can go past this 200-day moving average right here, if we go past that, we're back in bull territory. But right now we're still underneath it. So this is still considered to be a bear market, right? All right, let's take a look at the Qs. Qs are very similar, right? So the Qs, we're looking around this area right here, this 0.382 area on the Fibonacci. So we did found support at the fib between the 0.61 and 0.5. That's usually the support level. So we're looking for this to hit around this area right here to see if we can break it, or we're going to get rejected off here. So that's the also 100-day moving average as well. So next week you have to pay really close attention to this area. This is major resistance area, and this is the next major resistance up here once this is broken, right? So I do see like momentum is on the rising on the upside, and we're at the MACD is starting to cross back above the zero line. So there are early signs of potential bottom around this area, like, but you know, things change very quickly. So I only trade by price action. So we gotta see what happens around this area. If we can't hit or break above this area, then potentially we can come back down and retest the lows right here as well. Take a look at the VIX. The VIX is actually are still above 20, so it's around this 23. This is still a fairly high VIX, considered a fairly high VIX. You want to see the VIX to be below 20. Normal bull markets is around that 15 area. We're still way above that, so we'll see what happens. Let's take a look at some stocks. Actually, let's go through some sectors. All right. So some things I was looking at were the growth names last week. So I was talking about this base right here, and as you can see that we're actually start crawling out of this little base right here, and it's starting to slowly trying to grind up, right? So yeah, same scenario. You want to see a break above for ARC, and you want to see a break above right here. So this 52. Break above 52, and we could potentially hit around this area right here. Also around the 200-day moving average. It won't click for me. So right around 72. So if we can break above that, there could be a trade between here and somewhere around along right there for the exit. So momentum is picking up. That's a really good sign for potential base. So let's see what happens in the next couple weeks down here. Wouldn't be a bad idea to buy a little bit of leaps, or you can sell some puts to fund those leaps as well down at these areas right here, because your downside is limited. You can come down to around 30. That's still quite a big down move, but potentially on the up move is pretty good as well. So risk reward is not too bad around here. Bots is also one of the names I'm looking at for ETF to see if we'll find a bottom. I am waiting to see if it actually holds around this area, or we're gonna come back down and retest the COVID loads. But it's still below the pre-COVID high. So this is a fairly oversold area. So this is an area that I really consider looking into buying. You can see some big spikes in volume. So those are usually accumulation volume from institutions as well. So potentially some people are starting their positions right now. One of the sectors I was looking at was the semiconductors, right? Take some of these off. With the semiconductors, you can see that we were in a pretty good downturn right here. So we did have this big rally up, and we found resistance at the 100-day moving average right here. So let's see what happens if we can consolidate right here and then break out. That's good for semiconductors. Semiconductors probably what's going to lead the market back up once we find the bottom, right? So keep a close eye on what semiconductors are doing and keep this on your watches at all times. You can see the relative strength is actually fairly high as well. Right. So some like the financials are we've been in a correction for financials for quite some time as well. So we came all the way back down to COVID highs and found a base, and we're breaking out that base right now. So with the financials, you really need to go back above 30, this 30, 35, let's call it 36 area before consider to be a trend change, potential trend change, and it's still below the 200 and everything. So every single time it rallies up, it usually fails around the 200 for the first time before it goes up more. So if it does and you got in and then it goes back up here, take some off and then just buy it back on the pullback. Apple's been showing really good signs of strength. So we are approaching 200-day moving average right here. Most likely fail, like I said, the first time. It would be nice to see a little pullback and then finally a break above. Once Apple pulls above the 200-day moving average, you can project that a potential bottoms in for the S&P 500 for other stocks as well, because Apple is a leading indicator and it shows more strength than other stocks within the index. So those stocks tend to move first, right? So once you see this stock going up, you can expect the other stocks will catch up with it pretty soon. So this is for me, it's like a leading indicator into what the market will do next, right? So I talked about AMD back here that it potentially could break out and go to 90. So we did hit that 90. The next zone is about this 100 and 110 area. You want to see it to come back up to around this 110, which is the 200-day moving average right here. Right, so once it hits around that 200-day moving average, then potentially you'll get like a little rejection back before going up any higher. Right, Amazon right here is still in this base. It's approaching this gap right here at the 100-day moving average. So once we fill this gap, potentially we're gonna go up and go to the 200-day moving average right here as well. So earnings is coming up, so maybe that's the catalyst for us to go. We'll see what happens. Well, also we get a rejection and come all the way back down as well if the earnings were bad, right? And last one, Google. So Google is approaching earnings. It's still in this consolidation range to see what earnings will do. If it's at the lower range, you can probably do a lotto call around here to see if it's good earnings. It's most likely pop back above the 20-day moving average right there. Microsoft, same thing. Microsoft, it's just basing earnings coming up, so that's going to have a lot to do with what's going to do next. So we'll see what happens. Nvidia, very much like AMD, same thing. Same charts for a lot of these stocks actually. Tesla is interesting. Tesla had earnings. It initially fell off in pre-market, then it just completely choked off. It actually blew up, went up to test the 100-day moving average right here. It did broke through and then got rejected, and then maybe you'll come back retest the 8-day moving average before going any higher. Right, so that's pretty much it for this week. I'll try to make another video next week if I have time. If not, it'll most likely be the week after. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel so yeah, I can keep doing this for a little while. Thanks.
Recording stopped.